Hi everyone, welcome back, I guess. Obviously now we are at a time in life where we can now venture back out into the big wide world, as long as I think it's up to like 5 miles or local area. I don't know, it's not clear, but anyway, we can get out of the house and move around, and it's great, it's awesome. And it's also allowing local vendors to start opening up again, so very gradually allowing life to get back to how we knew it before, which is ace, it's great. But with that, it also means we need to restart from where we left off. So that means if you had plans for 2020, you had goals to reach, you had something you were looking to achieve, now is the time to start getting back on track. Now, I know some people have gone through this period of crisis and lockdown and have just plowed away at their goals. They've just shut down everything else, took out all distractions because quite frankly there were none in the first place, and just plowed ahead with it and are now possibly 3 months into where they need to be. And then there are other people, myself included, who kind of took the 3 months, started to kind of really simmer down from it, kind of put some stuff to the side for the moment until we get over this period. Now that isn't a bad thing, because obviously this whole crisis affects people in different ways, on different avenues. Me, myself, it's just me living here on my own, so it's not as big a deal, but obviously you've got some people who are in families, some people who are in financial issues, like loads of different factors that put people on kind of a different scale, different levels on the scale on how they needed to cope during this phase. And also because it was just boring, and without getting outside you just don't get vitamin D, and that just means you just start to feel a bit mopey, a bit groggy, and you've really got to kind of not treat yourself but give yourself the benefit of the doubt and don't be so hard on yourself at this time. Moving back into what is hopefully a normal rest of 2020, obviously the first 6 months have just been absolute sheer chaos, but for anyone who thought 2020 was going to be their year, there's still time. We still have 6 months to achieve goals, or at least get goals started to then smash in 2021. So this is going to be a quick video about the 5 goals I am going to restart again to try and achieve for 2020. So the first 2 are more kind of physical and fitness related items. Number 1 is to complete a marathon. This has been something that has been on my mind for years. I just never got around to. I'm not a natural runner. I might have been when I was maybe a kid or a teenager, but I hadn't run for like 10 years, and just the lack of that impact around the tendons has just caused a lot of issues in my legs when it comes to running. So this year I decided this would be the year I would smash through that and do something I've always wanted to achieve, which is a marathon, which for some people like myself is a massive deal. Other people, it's just something you do every couple of months. It's not as big a deal. But anyway, so before all this kicked off, I applied for the Edinburgh Marathon. Now that was kind of going to be my go-to. It was supposed to be back in May, and the idea was to, between Christmas and May, to progressively overload until I was capable of doing a half marathon and then do the full marathon, and that was the plan. Obviously that absolutely went to pot when you couldn't have any large groups in any area ever, anywhere at all, so that's been moved to the side. But with lockdown and being able to exercise once a day, I have been trying to do at least a short run every single day. So it is slowly building up, gradually building up that tolerance within the legs, really utilizing those precious few moments that we have been allowed to be outside. Now, what I have also found out is that the Edinburgh Marathon is probably one of the few events of the year, sports-wise or activities-wise, you know, kind of things that are going on outside in large groups, that hasn't been cancelled for the year. Instead, it's been suspended to September. So it does mean that I could still smash out that goal before the end of 2020. Obviously, now it still gives me, I've got half of June, July, and then August and start of September, so 2.5 months to start training up for it, which is excellent. And especially now that we have more time to be outside, I can slowly extend those runs to see, now that I've kind of started to build a foundation, see how much I can build onto it and really build that endurance capability. So that's one goal I can smash out this year. And goal number two this year is, again, we're on the kind of physical and exercise and training kind of route here, where there's certain movements, especially gym movements, I would like to achieve this year. Usually throughout the year, I'm very kind of goal orientated, where there's got to be something I need to strive for. Otherwise, I just kind of give up, because if there's not something specific and quantifiable, you just kind of lose motivation because you're not quite sure what you're aiming for. I'm kind of very visual. I need to see where I'm reaching out for. Otherwise, I just kind of lose the plot with it and lose all motivation. So number two is, I've always wanted to be able to clean and jerk my own body weight. Now, that's not something I've ever been able to do before, or even really get close to. I mean, kind of close at one point, but never quite there. And that's one thing I want to achieve. And the same with other sets of movements, you know, like your squats. Wanted to also be able to do a muscle up for the first time ever. So there's kind of a range of physical movements that I have a quantifiable goal to reach for. But the primary one is that body weight clean and jerk. For me, it's just something tangible that I've always wanted to do and I haven't been able to achieve yet. And that's usually because there's other distractions or other things that really I wanted to focus on more at the time. So given that there's nothing on this year, there's most likely not going to be anything on until at least January next year. It means that it gives us this extended period of what Ross Edgley likes to call being wintered. This is the idea that you get this kind of winter period, because this wasn't where back in I don't know, hundreds of years ago, wars were only fought in the summer, so they spent winter training and getting themselves prepared for that time in the summer. And you find it quite a lot with events as well. The biggest events are always kind of either just before or during or just after this summer. So the idea is you spend the winter getting yourself adapted and being able to kind of progressively overload yourself, so that when it comes to the hard training and competition, you've got that backlog of mileage behind you that allows you to keep going when you're trying to specify. So my idea now is to basically take that mindset, but right from the moment the gym's open, which fingers crossed might be the end of this month, right until Christmas, and just work on those goals. And then that'll allow me to specify more in the new year that will hopefully actually achieve more goals next year, obviously on ones I can't achieve now. But the idea of just focusing on one thing at a time, you're more likely to hit them all than have them all these goals in the one place and you just won't hit either because you're just too scattered and you've just worn yourself too thin. So goal number 2, clean and jerk my own body weight. Oh, don't know if this is comfy or not. Anyway, goal number 3 is actually part of the reason I originally moved back to Scotland last year in the first place. Is I really enjoy hill walking, and in Scotland we've got Munros, which I think is 200 and X number at the moment. It kind of changes year to year because nobody can decide. But there's roughly just over 200 of them. I used to do quite a few of them growing up, and I always kind of wanted to achieve doing them all. It was kind of a lot of treasured memories with my granddad, my dad, doing it with friends, a lot of good memories and a lot of good times, but I never recorded them. And with Munro bagging, you're supposed to record every time you do one from start to completion when you get to the peak. And then if you claim them all, you become an official. I think it's like a Munroist. Something arbitrary I don't really care about, but I really like the idea of trying to finish them all. So now that we can get outside, where's the best place to go than someplace no one else is going to be? Up in the hills. So you're keeping yourself safe, you're getting loads of fresh air into the lungs, you're out and about, a bit of walking and exercise. It's perfect, especially because it's now officially the summer and we can't go abroad or do anything at all. So might as well make the most of it and look for any excuse to be outside. Item number 3, or goal number 3, is I want to complete as many Monroes as possible. So goal number 4, and it was a goal I was hoping to actually achieve before we got to this point in the year, was I need to finish doing up this flat. I mean, I moved in just before Christmas, and the idea I saw myself personally was I'd have it finished by summer. Now, so far, all I've done is buy lots of stuff, aka like couches, TV, loads of kitchen equipment, and then repaint this room, which took painstakingly longer than I thought it would. But there is still no carpet in this room. There are pieces of the floor missing in the hallway, and basically the whole flat, and I mean the whole flat, except for this room obviously, needs a new coat of paint. Just a fresh coat, and just really reinvent the space that was currently owned by someone else. I really need to make it look like my place rather than the remnants of their place. So that's goal number 4, is finish doing up this flat. Now there's not too much left to do. The basics are a lick of paint and carpet for this room. Now there are other things, like some of the windows there's kind of like tiny little gaps so that you get a lot of wind coming through and you can hear a lot of noise from outside. If I can find a way to fill those in, that would be perfect. And then I need to get some sort of actual blackout shutters for the bedroom, because there is a lamppost outside that shines directly into the room, so no matter what time of day it is, even if it's 2 o'clock in the morning, it still looks like bright daylight and it's not ideal for sleeping. So goal number 4, finish doing up my flat. I really need to get something for this wall though. It looks a bit bare. I mean, the problem is it's like completely cinder blocks, so it's not ideal. Like, you don't really want to be drilling loads of holes into this because there's just no way to get rid of it, and it makes an absolute mess. So I need to get like a big print. It would be quite cool to get a big print of the world on here, or the map from Lord of the Rings, or I don't know. I guess I could get a pen and just start drawing balloons. And lastly, goal number 5 is to travel to 3 places. I really wanted to use this year to maximise doing a bit more travelling, seeing a bit more of the world. Basically because I kind of had an opportunity to this year. But a lot of that's all fallen through, primarily because everything got shut down. You're stuck to your own country, you got to just grin and bear it and make do. So, best case scenario is at some point towards the end of the summer, airports will start opening up commercially and you'll be able to fly here, there, anywhere in the world. And fingers crossed, do it really cheaply, because everyone will be looking to kickstart their tourism industry as soon as possible. So fingers crossed, could do it on the cheap. But I also thought of reinventing this because there's still lots of areas of Scotland I've never visited. When I meet people from other countries who always talk about certain aspects of Scotland, I'm like the worst person to speak to because I have no idea what they're going on about. I've never visited half the places they ask about, certain areas I've never been to, so it would be quite cool. Even if I don't get to travel abroad, I still want an adventure, I still want to go and explore. And it's only until you kind of restrictions from what you usually do that you really get to see things that you're kind of blind to before or just weren't priorities. And for me, that was that the country I live in, I still know very little about and I've seen very little of it. So even if I don't get to travel to 3 places anywhere else in the world, I would like to still go explore my home country. So even if I don't get to go 3 places by plane, even if it's just a car journey or jumping on a bike to somewhere I've never been before, I want to do that at least 3 times for the end of the year. Now I know that sounds kind of weak, but you know, that's what we're dealing with. And ideally I need something to do, so that's going to be goal number 5. Now, if you made it to this point in the video, good on you, because I don't think that was any good. It was just me ranting about stuff that you guys most likely wouldn't care about. So, to reward you, I'm going to give a goal number 6 here. Just as a bonus, you know, like a bonus goal to tick off. Now, there are some honorable mentions. There are some goals I like to achieve career-wise, but obviously you guys don't really care about that, so I'm not going to go into that. I would like to get a haircut and like trim my beard, but again, that's a very low goal. If that's your goal for a whole year, you really need to sort out your priorities. So my goal number 6 was to try and do 100 YouTube videos, because as you can tell, I'm not great at this stuff, and quite frankly my voice is quite monotonous and there's nothing interesting to look at. Like, there's nothing that really wants you to retain in the video. But I do want to improve, and it's an aspect that's kind of been wearing on me for a time, and just being able to have that instant feedback of clarity of how I'm speaking, how I come across. Is I was aiming to do 100 videos to get started and really kind of see how much I'm improving, or just that feedback of what I'm not doing correctly or what I can work on to improve. And obviously if you do anything you do, you will always improve on, but the quicker you do it, or the more repetitively you do it, the quicker you're going to have that feedback to improve. Because if it takes you X amount of, I don't know, reps of a weight to get to a certain goal, or it takes you X amount of steps to get anywhere, the quicker you do those steps, the quicker you are going to get to the finish line. So my thought process was, right, if some people say they suck on video 1, but they really got into it by video 100 and kind of knew what they wanted to do by then, why not just do 100 videos as quickly as possible? Now, I'm not saying like make 100 garbagey videos, because you won't learn anything from that, but for every video, try and do at least kind of one daily, and really focus and put your effort into trying somehow to tweak it so it was better than the last video, at least try to make it better. Then by video 100, you should be nowhere like where you started at video number 1. Now, you could do a video a week, and that'll take you just under 2 years to get to that point. Or you can do a video every day, which will take you just over 3 months. Now, in terms of skill sets, if you're wanting to develop a skill, developing it in just over 3 months seems a lot more beneficial than developing it at the end just under 2 years. So that's another goal. That's just me personally. It means you guys have to endure more videos, but that was goal number 6. So on that note, I'm going to call it there. So yeah, I thought I'd have something entertaining to end this video, but obviously I don't. So I'm going to slap the camera instead. Bye.